Hello, everybody. It's Audrey. I feel like such an official YouTuber right now. I figured out how to do this setup and everything, and it just is looking really clear, really nice. So I'm really excited today to show you how I produced my newest song that literally came out tonight, like an hour ago, called All My Love. So it is on all streaming platforms right now, and I've been wanting to do a video like this for a long time of just showing you the actual file in Logic and kind of the process and all of the bells and whistles on how I created this song. So let's get into it. Alright, so here we are in the file. These are all of the tracks. And actually, if I want to show you every single one, there's a lot of the vocals that I create track stacks for. So here's actually all the vocals. As you can see, there's a lot that goes into the vocals, especially. A lot of these are like oohs and ahs. I will solo them for y'all to hear. So for this song, I really just wanted to make a really spring, summery, inspired love song when you're just really infatuated with somebody at the beginning stages of a relationship. That's definitely the vibe I was going for. So I definitely wanted to start with some guitar. I do use a sample for this guitar. Now listen, I know there's a lot of purists out there, production purists, but I find that the average listener does not care that you use samples and usually doesn't even realize or know that you use samples. So although I do want to implement more of my own guitar playing in the future, and I do have a few demos like that, but for this I just really was inspired by this sample. I use samples a lot when I'm stuck and I don't know how to get started on something. So that's how this song started, was these guitars. And for the song, I really wanted to implement more piano done by myself. So all the piano is me in the song, I am proud to say. So I started off with these little piano parts. Very simple. Kept it very simple, you guys. Then some chords in here. And I kind of liked that it wasn't too perfect, if that makes sense. So this piano stays pretty simple. Then over here we have a little bit of pad, little bells. Just add some little magic sounds. Those are actually the same bells as chai tea, the ones I did in chai tea. I try to put them into almost every song. I just really like how they sound. Here we have a little bit more playful. A lot of this is just me messing around and then deciding what to keep and editing it to sound a little better, quantizing it and everything. And this echoes my vocal part. The love. Alright, what else here? Oh, this is kind of interesting. So in the end, I really wanted a lot of violin. And I couldn't seem to like play it on the keyboard very well. I just couldn't get it. So what I did was I actually sang the parts and I just converted my voice to MIDI, which I didn't even realize you could do for the longest time until today. I was literally yesterday years old when I figured that out. So that's right here. I would still much prefer to have real strings, but your girl is a struggling artist and is unable to pay for it. But hopefully in the future, I would love to hire people to do actual strings. So I literally sat there and was like, and that's how I got the strings to be. For the drums, I am honestly not the best beat maker when it comes to literal terms, making beats. I do it sometimes, but in this case, it is a sample. So this is the sample I ended up choosing. It's very lo-fi inspired. I was looking up for lo-fi beats. I'm very inspired by lo-fi hip-hop in general, so I definitely like to throw a little bit of that influence into all of my tracks if I can. And for the bass, it's pretty simple. Just a thumb bass that I chose. I like to keep, if I'm not doing 808s, I do like an actual bass sound for the bass usually. We have a little bit more cellos here. Again, just filling up that sound. I really like the end of my songs to sound really full. You really want that like full chorus to hit. So even though when you take any of these things by itself, it may sound a little funky or just out of place, but together in the context, it just really works. And up here, I really love these vocals at the very end that come out, and they're kind of echoing the beginning of the song a little bit. Winter and into the spring. And I like that there's like this filter, telephony kind of sound over it. I just think it really helps it blend in with the mix. And if anyone's curious on how I do my backup vocals, it's pretty simple stuff, but I know if you're not a producer yourself or if you're just getting started, this stuff is really helpful to know. So for these right here, I'm your little secret. You make falling in love feel so easy. So you could just do one, but I like to double track my vocals just for a more full immersive sound, a more stereo sound. So I would record each line twice, like you can see here. You make falling in love. And then I will hard pan right and left. You can like soft pan them, so maybe like 10-10 or 30-30. A good rule of thumb though, for that more wide sound, is to do just hard pan. I do guitars around 40 each, and usually keyboards and synths, I'll just hard pan them as well. But if it's more of a melody thing, like a piano doing the melody, I keep that pretty balanced, more mono. That I'm picky, feel so lucky. So that's that there, and I do the same thing with all of these like oohs and ahs. And if we want to take a look at my vocal chain for a moment, I know a lot of people have asked me about my vocal chain. What I usually do for backup vocals, I will usually take away all this lower stuff on normal vocals too, usually. And I also like to do a little bit of these higher tones to really bring out them in the mix, because sometimes they can kind of get lost in the sauce, you know what I mean? Or the main vocal will kind of overpower them a little bit. I always keep a de-esser on these as well. And then I just have a couple compressors to really help them blend together and make sure that none of them are getting too lost. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. There's not too many effects on them or anything. I have them on these buses, so there is a little bit of echo in chorus when I want there to be. Let's take a look at my main vocal for a moment. I hope y'all can't tell I'm getting a little bit affected by these allergies, but we're just going to ignore it. For my main vocal, because I know that's a big deal when it comes to producing, I am still always learning, and it's just trial and error, honestly. My EQ for my vocal changes every single song, so it's one of those things I will try to keep the same, but it just never ends up being that way, which makes sense because I guess every song is sonically different from the others, you know? So this is one EQ on this vocal. Here's another EQ. So I do have two EQs on this one vocal. Now remember, I don't know if this is even correct. There really is no correct way. There's kind of a template we go off of, which is what I learned when I was taking a few producing courses from Berkeley. And yes, there's kind of like correct ways to go off of, but essentially you just have to trust your ears. It depends on the voice, it depends on the mic you're using. So my EQ could sound perfect on this mic, and if I change the mic, it's going to be all off again. So it really just is about trusting your ears and about the person who's recording, the tone of their voice and what you want to bring out in that tone. So I really like to have a little bit of breath in the mix right here, and I do tend to take out these lower things because it just doesn't need to be there. That's for the bass, you know, your piano, all those other things to shine in the mix. And these are just a few places where my vocals sounded a little bit yucky, so you wanted to take those frequencies out. That's a little bit about that. You can see these are other EQs that I just didn't end up going with. They're all over the place. So it did take me a while to figure that out for this song. These are the two compressors that I have on. Again, for compressors on vocals, there are a couple things you can do to start from. There's a lot of amazing YouTube videos, but I kind of base it off of what I learned in class, and I kind of go from there based on the song and how much compression I want. So if you don't know what compression is, basically it makes the highs and the lows less, and it makes the overall voice a little bit more stable, which you technically usually want in pop music. But if you're doing a more dynamic song, you want the highs to be higher, the lows to be lower, you would put less compression. But it really just does help a recording sound a lot cleaner, in my opinion, especially for more contemporary pop music. So here's just a little bit of my dry vocal just to hear it.
I love watching you play piano. I like that nobody knows about us, yes.
So just for reference, I'm gonna take all of this off just so you can hear what it sounded like with no effects on it.
I love watching you play piano. I like that nobody knows about us, yes.
So obviously there's still reverb and echo. Wait, let me turn those off. But you can hear how like dry and muddy and muted it sounds, almost a little bit underwater.
I love watching you play piano. I like that nobody knows.
It's not bad by any means, but it's definitely just a different vibe, you know? It takes all the life out of it. So that's what the EQ and the compressors and everything, they really just bring the life and bring that polished sound.
I love watching you play piano.
So yeah, I'm like really getting technical here. I hope this is enjoyable. Here we have a little bit of these intro vocals if you want to hear those. So I want it to be like a canon, which is basically where the melody just kind of overflows over each other. And I did sing them all separately because I want it to feel a little bit more natural from just like copying and pasting it. I didn't want that. So this is just a nice little intro I thought would sound nice. So here you'll notice a lot I use a lot of stock plugins, which basically means plugins that already came with Logic. And a lot of producers will kind of say you need to get a bunch of this and that and like add-ons and plugins from here and there, and plugins can be really expensive. Some can be as cheap as $30 and others are like $200 to $500. But I really think at the end of the day, a good song is a good song and a reverb is a reverb. Yes, I love my Valhalla reverbs, but like sometimes I just want a good old silver verb, you know, or a stereo delay. It's just not that complicated, you know, and these are great stocks that I use all the time. And with that and some nice like EQs going on here, this is what makes it sound almost underwater, is this one right here. And it gives you that cool like telephony underwater sound, and I love it, to be honest. So again, for the guitars, I did do a panning 40 and 40. I think that just gives it a nice stereo sound. And I do master my own music as of right now. I used to pay somebody, but I learned a lot about how to master in this one class I took from Berkeley. And so I was like, I think I can do this, at least for now. I'm still obviously learning, but this is what my master looks like if you want to take a look at this. So we have an equalizer, a vintage comp, an imager, and maximizer. So I'll just give a little quick rundown of what all of this means. So this is just a final equalizer. You don't want to go too crazy because most of your editing and mixing should be done in the mix, not in the master. But this just brings out, I cut off like some unnecessary higher frequencies as well as low ones, and just brought out a little bit of my vocals here, took away some of the muddiness in the middle, and brought out the bass, the kick a little bit more right here. This, honestly, I'm not too sure what this does too much. It sounded good. I'm gonna be so real with y'all. It just sounded good. Um, this is an imager, which basically adds a little bit more stereo width. So for your bass frequencies, you want it to be more mono. And for the higher frequencies, you want a little bit more stereo. This is purely up to taste as well. But I like a more wide sound compared to a more mono sound. So yes, a little bit here, nothing crazy, nothing too, you can kind of see, actually, wait. So you'll see this is kind of showing you the stereo imaging. Mostly mono going on, and some people say you don't want too much going on here. I kind of like it, but again, it's up to your taste and your genre and all of that jazz. And finally, the most important is the maximizer. So this is what really does the mastering of it all, which essentially just means making it louder. So you always want your ceiling, always. If you don't know what you're doing, just slap a maximizer on here or a limiter. Logic has a really good stock plugin called Limiter where you can just do a good quick master or a demo and make it louder to be able to listen to it in the car, whatever. This whole thing I didn't mention is called Ozone 9. It is 1 to 250, something like that. I had to buy it for my class that I took on mixing and mastering, but I'm so glad that I did. I love it. So always put your ceiling or your limit at -1 decibels. Oh. And that'll make sure that you can't blow out speakers. It's not going to clip. So no matter what, it's not going to clip, and that's really, really, really important. And the threshold is basically how loud it can go without clipping. And it's basically going to limit if it goes over that. Say you never stay up this late. And characters, like, again, about dynamics and all of that jazz, it gets a little technical from there. I won't go too crazy, and you always want to keep it at -14 lufs, which is a whole thing. Look into it if you want to. But yeah, I really loved the way this master turned out, and that's why I made a little preset for it. But yeah, guys, this was the song. I hope this wasn't too technical. I hope y'all learned something from this or just thought it was interesting. This is how I do things. I am by no means the best producer at all. There is so much more I don't know and so much I need to learn, and probably a lot of things I do technically wrong, but this is just what I do, and at the end of the day, if it sounds good, it sounds good. I even think sometimes bad mixes can sound good and give it that bedroom feel that I think a lot of people really love. And yeah, I think the fact that this isn't, this obviously isn't produced in $1 million studio, I kind of think that adds some charm to the music sometimes. And I'm in love with this whole process. This is why I do it. I just enjoy all of this. A lot of time obviously goes into this, and that's why my releases do take a while at times, but at the end of the day, I love it. I love doing this, and I will keep doing it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I want to do more videos like this in the future, so let me know which songs you'd like to see the process of, or the files and the details and stuff like that. So thank you.